How many times have you said to yourself, this year is going to be my year, only for absolutely nothing to change and for you to still be in the same place 1 year later? That used to be me as well, until I built this system that allowed me to reinvent myself and go from lost, broke and unfulfilled to running an elite performance consulting business, building an audience of over 600,000 followers and living my dream life. And it didn't just work for me, it's worked for every single one of my clients at selfmastery.co as well. So I'm going to show you how you can actually make a change and reinvent yourself in 2025, and then I'm going to give you a few strategies to help you stick to the process and guarantee it works. And look, this isn't going to be some surface level, oh, build these free habits. No. Instead, I'm going to give you the tools to make a shift at the most foundational level of your being, because that is how you create real change. And for this whole thing to work, and for you to actually reinvent yourself, you first need to understand why everything you've tried in the past didn't work. So let's say you set a goal, whatever it is, whether it's to build your business to $1 million per year, or to get jacked, or to hire in a way that means you don't have to run your business on the day-to-day. Do you know what that goal actually is? Well, it's something that you want, right? But it's something that you want and cannot yet get. Think about it. If it was something that you wanted and you could just go and get it, it would not be a goal. You would just go and get or do the thing. Now, if we take this a layer deeper, how do you achieve a goal? Well, in the most basic of ways, you take certain actions and you make certain decisions for a certain amount of time. That's really it. You just do certain things, okay? It can fundamentally be that simple. So if your goal is something you want but cannot yet get, then it must be because you're not capable of doing the right actions or making the right decisions. Otherwise, you would take those actions, you would make those decisions, and you would get the thing that you want. This is where most people go wrong. This is why most people never achieve their goals or never make a change. Most people never achieve their goals because they focus too much on the goal and not on the person they need to become to achieve it. Goals can only be achieved when you become the version of you capable of achieving that goal. So yes, focus on the goal, but by all heck, focus just as much on becoming the person you need to be to achieve it. Look, I get that that's quite abstract, right? It's quite out there, so let's get tactical, let's get strategic. How on earth do you reinvent yourself and become the person you need to be to achieve your goals? Well, the first step is a logical one. You need to get clear on that version of you, but hold on, there's a very specific way you need to do this to ensure that it works in the long run. And look, this is actually a rather simple process, so I will go through it quickly so that we can get to the how to actually implement it, make the shift, and how to stick to the process in the long run so that, you know, it works. So what you need to do is get out a pen and a piece of paper. Look, you can obviously type this out if you want to, but I would recommend doing it on paper, mainly because of how it forces you to slow down and be more deliberate with and conscious of what you're writing. You then want to write out 3 different sections. For the first section, you need to list out all the habits, behaviors, mindsets, and beliefs of the type of person who is capable of achieving your goal, as well as all the habits, behaviors, mindsets, and beliefs that they would not have or do. And look, it is incredibly important you list these out in the context of the type of person who is capable of achieving your goal. Because your goal is a direction, it's something to aim towards, and hence, because it's something to aim towards, it's a filter that allows you to judge the efficacy of your actions and decisions based on how well it moves you towards your goals, allowing you to make better choices that equate to more progress. If you don't do these in the context of the person capable of achieving your goal, I know I'm going to say that a lot in this video, you are not doing it in the context of what will move you towards your goal. Quite simply, okay? So ask yourself, what habits would someone capable of achieving X, whatever your goal is, have? What beliefs would someone capable of achieving X have, and so on and so on? And look, list these out and don't just rush through it and write, you know, the first 5 things that instantly pop into your head. Force yourself to think deeper and harder about what that type of person would actually do. The second section is your manifesto. In this section, you want to write in the third person about you as if you are that person capable of achieving your goals. So you want to take all the habits, mindsets, behaviors, and beliefs you wrote about in section 1 and write as if you have them or don't have them for the ones that the version of you would not have. For example, Ross Harkness is a world-class entrepreneur who does deep work on his most important tasks every morning. He never skips a workout and never cheats on his diet. You know, it would go something like that. The third section is your affirmations. Now, hear me out, okay? This is not manifestation, okay? Affirmations do not just make money fall at your feet. You don't just wake up with a six-pack and Lamborghinis and all this shit, okay? It's not how it works. All affirmations are doing is rewiring your beliefs. They're shifting the perspective you have on yourself, because beliefs are just ways you see the world and yourself and are formed through repeated experience. One of the ways we have experience and repeated experience is self-talk, how you talk to yourself. If you're always saying, oh, I can't do that, or I wish I had more money, you're literally telling yourself you can't do X and that you have no money. And so, of course, over time, this is a repeated experience that shapes your beliefs, your perspective of the world and yourself. And if you believe something, you will act in accordance with it. Because how on earth can you act outside of what you believe to be true? You can't. If you believe something is a certain way, you quite literally cannot act in a way that is outside of it, because a belief limits the potential of what actions you can take, okay? You limit the possibilities of what you can do because you're limiting what you think is possible through that belief. So don't let your opinion on manifestation, okay, impact the science of affirmations, beliefs, and psychology. Anyway, what you want to do here is write out all the habits, mindsets, beliefs, and behaviors that you wrote about as individual affirmations in the first person. So, for example, I do deep work every morning. It makes me feel proud and fulfilled. Or, money is everywhere. I see and receive it in abundance. These three sections create a picture of your ideal self, of the version of you that's capable of achieving your goals. Now, here's the real question though. How do you use this to reinvent yourself? Well, to do it, you first need to know that there's going to be one problem or challenge that you will experience. It is inevitable, but of course, don't panic. I've got the solution. But what is that problem? Well, when you paint this picture of your ideal self, you instantly remove your ignorance around what you're doing and not doing that's holding you back. All of a sudden, your flaws, your mistakes, your failures, your moments of weakness that would have in the past been blind to you are now shoved directly in front of you. You see, you've now created a gap between who you need to be and who you currently are, which creates an issue. As humans, we have egos. We have an innate want to feel like we're in control, that we're right and that we know best. This means when you try to implement the strategies for reinvention that we're about to cover, your old self will not want to change because your old self believes that it's perfect. Your old self has this ego around it being right. It will not want to improve. It will not want to change. It will not want to move toward this ideal version of you, this version of you capable of achieving your goals. And so what it does is it creates resistance to the work, to the strategies, to the things you need to do to become that version of you. Realize that. Internalize this. If you feel resistance to doing anything we go over in this video, or anything that will move you towards your goals and build your business, realize that it is nothing but your old self trying to prevent change, trying to stay alive. And in turn, realize that unless you beat that resistance, you will never reinvent yourself. You will never become who you need to be. You will never achieve your goals. And in 1 year's time, you'll be sat back down at your desk watching another one of these videos. And I'm sure you don't want that, okay? Look, I can give you all the strategies, all the tactics in the world. But let's be fair, you've been given plenty of them before. You've watched hundreds of videos like this, read countless books, and yet change still eludes you. This is because real change does not come from strategies and tactics. Real change comes from changing your paradigm, your understanding of the world. And now that you understand resistance is not some mental block, some immovable force of the universe that stands between you and the work, that it's not something to shy away from, you will be able to beat it because you realize what it actually is. You understand it now. You realize that resistance is a sign of what will move you toward your goals. And in turn, resistance should be faced like a bison walking into the storm. It should not be avoided. Now, here's the good thing. As you face resistance, as you reinvent yourself and close the gap between you and your ideal self, the resistance becomes weaker. The doubts become quieter until eventually they disappear and you have completed your reinvention, made a change and elevated yourself to a higher level. So now that you understand that you will face this problem of resistance, we can go over how to actually make this fundamental shift in who you are and how to stick to the process so that it works. Because, so many people watch these sorts of videos, find processes, find strategies, and they never work. And the reason they don't work is actually something incredibly simple. I'll cover that in a minute though, and I'll give you the solution. But how you use this strategy to reinvent yourself is actually really simple, like all the best things, and there's only two things you need to do. The first requires those 3 sections you wrote out earlier. these together form your reprogramming protocol. Now, here's the thing. To reinvent yourself, you need to reinvent your beliefs, because remember, you cannot act outside of your beliefs. They govern your entire life, and so to change your life, you have to first change your actions because they determine your results. But to change your actions, you need to change your beliefs because they determine the possibilities of actions that you can take. Beliefs are formed through repeated experience, of which there are two types. There's external experiences like you see something happen or you do something, and there's internal experiences like self-talk, memories, and imagination. We want to utilize your internal experiences, which are largely very controllable, to rewire your beliefs. And so step one is to read your reprogramming protocol every morning and every night. And when you read it, you want to imagine in your mind what you're reading. Create a visual picture of the words on the page. Again, I want to make this clear. This is not manifestation. Okay, this is not going to make money fall at your feet. You're not going to get a knock on the door and your life's going to have changed. This is simply psychology. Every time you do this, you create an internal experience, which over time is repeated and rewires your beliefs about yourself and the world. And when you change your beliefs, you quite literally change the possibilities of your life. You go from not thinking you can do something to believing you can, and in turn you act in accordance. For example, if you believe money is scarce, how can you ever possibly build your business to a point where you have loads of money? You believe there's not a lot of money out there. And so subconsciously, you will act in that way. You will do things to self-sabotage your business, to sabotage your growth, so that you don't get any money, because you believe there's not a lot of money out there. And if you believe there's not a lot of money out there, if you believe money is scarce, how on earth can you expect to get it? Or if we take two people, one person has went to the gym for 20 years, 5 days a week, and never missed a session. One person has never stepped foot in the gym in their life. This person who's never stepped foot in the gym in their life does not believe that this person has went to the gym for 20 years, 5 days a week, and never missed a session. Therefore, this person who's never stepped foot in the gym will never be able to do that. They will never be able to change their lives and go to the gym for the next 20 years, 5 days a week, and never miss a session, or maybe even step foot in the gym, because they do not believe that that is possible. Their beliefs limit the potential impact of their actions. Their beliefs limit the actions they can actually take. Now, the second thing you want to do is to utilize external experience. And the way we want to do this is, you see those habits and behaviors you wrote about in your reprogramming protocol? You want to make them non-negotiable standards for your life, things you do no matter what. This way you're creating repeated experience of you acting like that version of you that is capable of achieving your goals. Re-engineering your beliefs through external experience. Now, of course, you don't have to build all of these habits and behaviors at once. That could be quite a lot. So what you can do instead is create a training plan where, if, for example, you have 10 habits right in your reprogramming protocol, you lay them out over 10 weeks and you build one habit each week. So in week 1, you would build habit 1. In week 2, you would build habit 1 and habit 2. In week 3, you would build habit 1, habit 2, and habit 3, and so on and so on. And you would do the same for the habits and behaviors that you need to remove, that the version of you capable of achieving your goals would not do. Okay? And it really is that simple. You do both of those things to create repeated experiences that rewire your beliefs. And with each week, you do more and more that is aligned with your ideal self, and less that is not aligned with them, until eventually you are them. There's no need for some big, complicated plan that you're never going to stick to. You just have to change the way you see yourself in the world. And this is how you do it, through re-engineering your beliefs, through acting more and more like that person that you need to be. You act in a way that aligns with that version of you that you need to be, and in turn you reinvent your beliefs and then yourself. It's not going to be overnight, okay? And look, that is why most people fail. They try to completely transform their life tomorrow without understanding how beliefs work, how resistance works, and how you actually make the shift. But of course, this then means you need to be able to stick to the process of acting more and more like your ideal self over the long run. And there's a few things you can do here to help with that. 1, add these tasks to your to-do list. So see, reading your reprogramming protocol and meeting your standards, i.e. the habits of your ideal self, add them to your to-do list and treat them like any other task that must be done in your business. Every day write them down and every day cross them off. Look, the main reason people don't actually stick to strategies like this and methods and ways to change like this that we've covered, right, is simply because they forget. They do them for a week and then one day they forget to do it, and next thing you know, they've forgotten about it completely. By adding these things to your to-do list, you can't forget. You treat them like any other task. 2, write down your goal every morning. This, again, is not some special hack or trick, okay? All this is doing is keeping your goal in the front of your mind, and in turn, it keeps a reason for reinvention in front of your mind as well. It is just another way to not forget. 3. Remember what resistance is. Resistance is not a thing to shy away from, but instead a thing to lean into. It's a sign of what will turn you into the person capable of achieving your goals. Get that into your head. Understand that. When you feel resistance, remember what it is and do the damn thing. Remember that it is just your old self trying to prevent you from changing, and in turn that is a sign of what you must do. Lean into resistance. 4. Understand the importance of consistency. This isn't some tactical hack, this is a fundamental paradigm that you have to adopt. Consistency is the #1 factor of success in anything you do in any area of your life. Now, everyone thinks they know this. Everyone thinks it, but they clearly don't. Because if you actually knew this, you would act in accordance with it. If you actually fundamentally believed and knew and understood how important consistency was, you would be consistent without fail. Without consistency, you do not have momentum. You quite literally, every time you decide to not be consistent, break your momentum and make it harder for you to show up tomorrow and restart your consistency. Without consistency, you do not have compounding. You quite literally, every time you decide to not be consistent, ruin the chances of today's progress building on yesterday's. If you want to be successful in business, if you want to be successful in the gym, if you want to be successful in relationships, if you want to be successful in reinventing yourself, you must be consistent. Anytime you think, oh, I don't have the time today, or I'll just take the day off, it's no big deal. Remember how important it is to be consistent. Remember how resistance works and show up anyway. Look, I'm not saying that you have to go out all out 100% of the time, all day, every day, work 20 hours a day. I'm not saying that in the slightest. You don't have to always go 100%, but you always have to do something. Okay, don't break that consistency, don't break the compounding and momentum. Show up and do something every single day. That is how you make true change over the long run. And as you beat resistance, as you build compounding and momentum, this will pay off. It'll become easier, results will come faster, and you'll enjoy it more and more. The things that are important for you and your goals should be non-negotiable. And I mean quite literally non-negotiable. It shouldn't matter if you don't feel like doing it. It just gets done in a most robotic, maniacal way, okay? You just do the things that need done for your goals. You don't question whether you do them or not, you just do them. Now, of course, you do live a life, you are a busy person, everyone is. And so to really make sure you can stick to this process over the long run and reinvent yourself, you need to learn how to actually be productive. So watch this video here and I'll show you how.